Hi, Abraham. I'd like to make an observation first for some clarity from you and then a question. I've been playing a lot with all of this and enjoying it and not making it a burden and seeing some manifestation. But what I've been catching myself in is realizing that there's such a subtlety and distinction, I think, between the words and my thoughts and the real feeling inside me. So sometimes I'll be thinking that I'm thinking something very positive and I'm on my way, to goodness and all of that. And then I'll stop for a second and I'll say, but deep down inside, it just doesn't still feel right.
Good for you. Good for you. Because it's the feeling that matters. Because the feeling is the true indication of your relationship with it. In other words, the desire is here and you're somewhere in relationship to it. And the words can sound like they're over here, even though the vibration isn't. So it's a wonderful thing to acknowledge that, because it's the feeling that matters. Sometimes you can then use other words to shift the feeling, but that's really the point that we were making. What a wonderful day we're having today. That's really the point that we were making with these affirmation cards. When the feeling isn't there and you keep pushing it with words, sometimes you nail your feet to the floor and sort of dig in where you don't mean to be. And so that's a good time to stop and say, I'm trying too hard. I'm pushing too hard with these words. It's the feeling I'm reaching for. I don't have to do this right now. I don't have to do this right now. And just leave it there, because what you've done in that moment, you've activated your desire and you've become aware of where you are in relationship to the desire. And if you can stop thinking about it, the desire will pull you closer to it. Did you hear that? This is really good. We'll say it again. So you're trying to feel a way you don't feel, and you're trying to say words that you don't really feel to make it shift, but it's not shifting, and you're brilliantly aware of how you feel. Now what we're saying is, in that scenario, what just happened, your attention to it lighted up your desire in a stronger way, so it's pulling you in a stronger way than ever. And if you will say, I don't have to think about this right now, because I'm affirming outside the vortex, and I don't want to affirm outside the vortex. I'm just going to let this go and trust that it's going to be all right. Now, in the absence of the pulling and the heightening of the desire, you're going to make some headway.
Yeah.
That was good.
Thank you. And I have I'll call it a mechanical question about the universe, but it has to do with manifestations, and I sometimes feel being held back because of the way I understand, or I think I understand things. So let's assume that I'm going to a sports game of some kind, and I just believe with every cell in my being, and I just know that my team's going to win. So, according to the rules of attraction and the universe and all of that, if I was in the vortex.
Before you go further, we just want to suggest something to you, and that is, we really enjoy when a person asks us 1 or 2 or 3 questions, and all 3 questions are about the same thing. And this is really a good example of that, because all that hoopla about your team winning, sometimes you make yourself believe that you believe something that isn't vibrationally accurate. In other words, you're not allowed to not root for your team, and you're not allowed to not root even if you don't feel like this is going to be the win. In other words, you don't allow yourself to feel the true essence of what you feel. We'll hear you out, and we have a really good answer once you get to the end of your story. But and you're really going to like it. But we just want to point out that this is exactly what we're talking about. Cheerleading about something that you want, or that you really have no control over, is really that's the way you misunderstand your relationship with who you really are and what you do have control over. Okay. In other words, it is conceivable that you could be in the vortex and holding your team as your object of attention, and having done it so consistent that you could be affecting their experience. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. That's exactly what's behind some of those really incredible winning streaks. It's that some, or many, or a few, one who's in the vortex and focused is more powerful than millions who are not. So it is absolutely possible that you could influence something if you were willing to give something enough of your attention. But what these conversations have really been about are me trying to hype myself into the vibration rather than relax and release myself into the vibration of allowing what I want.
But here's my question, and I'm not even a sports person, but that's just an easy analogy for me. So if I've been imagining my team winning and somebody else is imagining their team winning, technically both should be able to manifest that. But you see what you're doing with this conversation is you are validating and justifying the reason that you put limits on everything. And here's what we mean by that. So we say you create your own reality, and if you can dream it, you can have it. And so, which means as life caused you to put it in your vortex, you can find the vibrational alignment with it, and you can become a match to it, and it will manifest for you. And then the challenge that someone always brings to that discussion is, but what about this very limited pie? What about this limited pie that is only so big, where only one can be the winner? Aha, then your theory doesn't hold up when there can only be one winner. And we say, yeah, if there could only be one pie, or yeah, if there could only be one game, or yeah, if there could only be one season. And in other words, the limitation, and so let's take this discussion further. This is wonderful. So the argument that people offer sometimes when we talk about the unlimitedness that is you and your ability to be or do or have anything that you choose, they will say, but there's only so much money to go around, and if that rich person takes all of those billions and that rich person takes all of those billions, then aren't there a lot of people that are going to be left without their fair share of the pie? And we say, the limiting problem is you're talking about this so far manifested world where there may only be so many trophies to go around in this tournament, or there may be only so many dollars that are seemingly available in this current economic time. But there is a vortex over here that is the true economy of eternity and of all that is, and in the moment that someone feels shortage in the reality of what's manifested, they put more abundance into this vortex. That's huge. And so it's people that are determined to wrestle to the ground their ideas that this is reality and this is as far as it is, when this is really what reality is, and it is completely unlimited. And so conversations like that just train yourself into that limited, there's only so much to go around. You can't have one foot in that world and one foot in this world without tearing yourself apart. There are no limits. Look what's happening. Look how few tournaments there once were, and now look how many tournaments there are. Wouldn't you say there are more trophies today than ever before? Trophies all over the place. So many trophies that trophies are almost irrelevant. Almost irrelevant. Everybody's got a trophy. Yeah, true. Okay.
No limits.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Wait.